What's better, giving advice or giving positive feedback? Today, I want to break down the important differences between giving advice and giving feedback so that you can actually see better performance not only in yourself but also help parent, coach, or mentor people around you in a much better fashion so that they can perform like champions at almost anything. What is the difference between actually giving someone advice or giving them some kind of feedback? It's essential for any coach, any trainer, or any parent, anyone really who delivers their opinion regarding something, to understand the essential differences between giving advice and giving feedback. Because how you communicate your value, how you communicate your information, your knowledge, it really plays a very important role with regard to not only imbibing certain beliefs that that person has. Everyone learns from the environment that they live in, and keeping that in mind, what you say to other people, it really matters. So are you giving advice or are you giving people feedback? Today I want to break it down for you and make you understand how you can actually transform all of this. Use what is needed at what point of time so that people can actually transform their performance. That is the essence of this video. So keeping that in mind, remember that advice is just an opinion. You have been there and done that, and now you are saying that, hey, I did this, why not you give this a try? It seems to work. I've used it in the past, and I believe that if you use it too, you are likely to perform better. What about feedback? Feedback is working with information, working with fact. You know that this has a lot of value. This is essentially what you need to keep in mind whenever you are critically appraising a performance by someone else. It may be how someone played a match, how someone delivered a presentation, how someone actually performed in an exam, for example. Keeping that in mind, how do you use both advice? How do you use feedback? Which one is more important? Remember that advice is not the preferred mode of conveying something. If you want to truly give someone something of value, remember that essentially advice is something that worked for you but may or may not actually benefit the person whom you're communicating it to. And a lot of people fail to understand what is the difference between good advice and what is bad advice. The thing is, good advice is what works. Bad advice is something that doesn't. Plain and simple. Good advice is what works, what has worked in the past and will continue to work in the future. Bad advice is what has possibly worked in the past, may or may not work in the future. But differentiating between these two is so important. That is why if you want to trump advice, using positive feedback always helps. Studies from the University of Florida have shown that positive feedback has not only a better effect on someone's overall perspective, they also develop a positive mindset and a greater conviction to pursue their goals. So if you are going about this the wrong way, you are actually looking at giving positive feedback to someone, delivering essentially what you saw and what you feel needs to be improved, then you are more likely to hand over good knowledge, good information, and something that can allow them to take action steps towards what they want. That is the most important focus. So what is important is not delivering advice, delivering feedback is the most important thing. Understand that advice has a place, and I will tell you exactly when advice will play an important role and how you can use it. Coming to positive feedback. Remember that positive feedback is the foundation for how that person sees himself or herself and how they will perform in future. Let's say you're a business owner, your trainee has just delivered a presentation on your behalf and you were on the committee appraising their performance. You didn't really deliver the content in a good fashion. You were stammering. The people were not impressed by what you said. When you make such statements, essentially you are damaging that person's self-esteem. You're damaging how they see themselves. They won't see themselves with a great degree of confidence if you critique them in this fashion. Because remember, each person performs differently. Some people may perform well at the very beginning. Some people may perform in the middle stage. Some people may take years, months and years to actually perform really well at something. But each person has a different growth rate. So acknowledging this growth rate and allowing them to move systematically from one stage to another and being there with them for the good times and the bad times so that they can actually perform better, that is the most important thing. So how you go about doing this essentially is the most important thing. Evaluating someone's performance and conveying what needs to be conveyed in the right way, that is important. So looking at positive feedback again, remember that you need to keep your feedback restricted to maybe 2 to 3 minutes of time. That's it. No longer than that. 2 to 3 minutes of giving feedback. Do not go on and on. Do not rant that this person did not do things in the right way, that this is not up to my expectation. Do not do it in that fashion. Essentially, this is what a lot of parents do. This is what a lot of coaches do. They go on and on about what went wrong. And here's what you need to do instead. Focus on the strong points. What went right? What helped? What did they go about? What did they do to essentially empower themselves in that performance? And what will allow them to work upon that to even perform much better the next time? So acknowledge the strong points. Number 2, acknowledge the strong points that this person is actually working upon and how can they amplify those strong points moving ahead. Stop focusing too much on the weaknesses, because at the end of the day, when you have a lot of strengths, those can be amplified into greater strengths. If you have a lot of weaknesses, well, they need to become less visible over a period of time, and that's what you want to help them out with. So focus on the strong points, avoid giving negative feedback. There is a certain way that you deliver this, and that is point number 3. Give them feedback using I statements. I think, I feel, I believe, I observed that you were stammering on stage. I believe if you slowed things down, then it is more likely that you will not stammer in future presentations. I noticed that you were under a lot of stress during your exam. Perhaps it may have played a role with regard to how you performed at this particular point of time. Next time, if you are able to manage your stress in a much better manner, it is likely that you will possibly see better performance in future. These are the kinds of statements that will reinforce facts that actually happened with regard to how that person performed. Because when you acknowledge the facts, you notice that, hey, this exactly went on. The other person starts to realize your critique. They can observe it from another perspective. Because a lot of the time, people are not aware about where they went wrong or what did they do right. So when you deliver it in this fashion, your perspective actually gets imbibed by the other person. They realize that, hey, this is something that this person noticed. I need to become more aware of it. Remember, you want to create a more coachable person. You want to be able to train that person instead of proving a point. You want to be able to train and show them the right way instead of proving your point. Keep that in mind. That is very essential if you want to become a better trainer, coach, parent, whatever. The next point that you need to be aware of: acknowledge the larger goals of the person. Maybe they messed up, maybe they did really badly, maybe they were just pathetic with regard to how things went on this time. Reinforce the larger goals. Always make them look ahead. Always make sure that you are guiding them in a way that they are looking at the bigger perspective. You may be a friend giving friendly advice, but reinforce this very important thing. Make them realize the larger perspective. It may be this, that they have already been suffering from a lot of self-blame, a lot of self-deprecation, where they aren't acknowledging that they did some things right and they only focus on the negative things. They don't need you jumping in and telling them that, hey, you did this, you did that. It's not going to help. So deliver the right kind of feedback in the right way. Acknowledge the larger goals of that person. Even if things didn't go right, make sure that you acknowledge the larger goals that that person has told to you prior to their performance. Make sure you have a very good understanding of that person's larger goals. What do they look to achieve by going about doing a certain thing? In school, they want to become an engineer, a doctor, they want to become a politician, they want to become a salesman. Anything really that they are looking to become. Reinforce that one unit test or one examination is not going to define who they essentially want to become. One small hiccup in a sports performance, this person didn't perform well in a match, didn't perform well in a competition, it's not going to determine the end goal, because I mentioned already that each person has a different growth stage, and acknowledging that growth stage is important. And finally, put everything into perspective with regard to their larger goals. Put everything into perspective. Keep it 2 to 3 minutes long. As soon as the performance has gotten done with, that person had some kind of expectation from you, hey, I need help now to actually make me go about things in the right way. And finally, keep everything simple with your I statements. I see, I noticed, I observed, I think, I feel, I believe. Using I statements, critiquing facts that actually took place is very important. Focus on the strong points, focus less on giving negative feedback, and ultimately put everything into perspective. Even if that person failed miserably this particular time, and summarize what you want to say, just like I have now. Summarize exactly what this person did, what went wrong, what were the strong points, and ultimately summarize what it means. Give perspective to their larger goals. So when you look at giving advice and giving positive feedback is definitely the winner. You want to give as much positive feedback over advice as possible. However, there is a place for advice. When there is a proven strategy that has been shown to work, when you are an expert in your field and you know for a fact that this is what works, this is what has worked for other people as well, and this will continue to work for you, then you are in a position to advise. If you've been there and done that, you know for a fact that this is going to work, this is going to help, then go ahead and give advice. Give good advice to people that they can actually implement. Remember that at the end of the day, giving advice or giving feedback, you want people, or the people whom you're training, essentially to have this platform for themselves where they can take action steps. Taking action steps is the most important thing with regard to delivering feedback to someone. So keep that in mind. Advice, feedback, all needs to be conveyed in the form of taking action steps. Deliver it in the right way. Always try to look to give positive feedback over advice, and that will transform the person's performance. I promise you this. So if you're a coach, a trainer, a parent, a teacher, essentially someone who is looking to help someone out, even a friend, try to use facts. Try to use what you actually have to work with and help them transform their life. If you found this video useful, make sure you leave it a thumbs up. Comment down below. Tell me what you want to learn in future videos. What did you pick up from this video? What is the most important aspect that you are going to take action steps on when you decide to coach someone in future? How are you going to help other people improve their performance? I want to know. Comment down below and ask me a question and I'll help you out with that. And of course, if this is your first time here, make sure you subscribe, hit bell notifications, because we are dedicated each and every day to having you perform better, empower yourself, and actually get motivated towards achieving what you want for yourself. Share this video with your friend, because this is all about building a community. Having the knowledge is truly empowering, and using this knowledge is even better. So use this knowledge to help empower other people, make them knowledgeable as well. Do share this video with your friends. And of course, the most important thing, check out all of the videos that are there down below. Learn how to become an expert at anything. If you want to expand on this topic, watch the other video that I've left down in the description. That is going to help open your eyes with regard to how you see positive feedback in a much better way. I want you to learn more about giving positive feedback, giving constructive criticism, and actually understanding how all of these work to become a better mentor, trainer, or coach. That is my goal for you. This is Vikram signing off, and I will see you in the next session.